Hi there, eBEFOREi here, and we are going to review something that I've been really looking forward to. This is Transformers Prime, Robots in Disguise, Voyager Class Ultra Magnus. And I'll tell you what, I was a huge fan of Ultra Magnus as a kid. The figure, the character on television, you know, just fantastic. Recently, we got a Cyberverse Ultra Magnus who had a lot of problems. So I was cautiously optimistic when I heard we were getting a Voyager Class figure. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it okay? Well, that's what we're going to discuss right here. Figure's already outside of the box, and we're going to review him in just a moment in great detail. But I wanted to cover the box first. I'll be real quick about this. I want to talk about the animation. We need this character on Transformers Prime. I mean, we do. Look at that. Just awesome. So, yeah, there's that. On the back, weapon activates Energon Glow. Alright. Snap-on missile, that's what she said. Truck mode, and some characters there. Blaster cannon converts to battle hammer. Okay, that's cool. I can get behind that. Over on this side, the bio. Let's read that.
If there is any Autobot the Decepticons fear as much as Optimus Prime, it is Ultra Magnus. His battle hammer has crushed chassis from one side of the galaxy to the other. No battlefield on which his armored feet have stepped have ever been yielded to the Decepticons.
We also have another picture of Magnus here, and his technical data. Strength is a 10. It's pretty strong. Intelligence an 8, speed of 5, endurance 9, rank 9, rank 9. Get it? He's the second in command. Forget this Rodimus guy. Anyway, courage is a 10, fire blast 9, and skill is a 6. On the bottom, also available, sold separately, Skyquake. You know, this mold has problems right here. But this is Skyquake. And if I see him in the store, my wallet is now short 25 bucks. Anyway, that's the box. Let's get into the figure itself. Alright, so here's Ultra Magnus. He's much better looking than I really thought. You know, seeing pictures and videos and different things of this figure, this, by far, seems to have been the weakest mode of the two. And it still is, but it's not nearly as bad as this thing came across, I don't think. You know, he's a truck, some type of truck. I don't know what kind of truck. But he is that. Rolls pretty good, as you can see. Yeah, I mean, he just kind of looks like what an Ultra Magnus would look like. He's a pretty decent size, too. Let's take a look at this figure more closely. You can see that he's got a very cool white Autobot symbol. Pretty neat there. The side of the cab, or the inside of the truck, is pretty hollowed out, so that's cool, because, you know, it's always nice to know that if you're going to transform into a truck or some type of vehicle, that a person could actually fit inside of it. Another nice Autobot symbol. Paint applications are pretty decent on this figure, not too bad. You've got the red stripe here. Red stripe on the other side. On the top, you've got a painted, this is real glossy paint on the top section of the plastic. Weapon, as you can see, never a fan of these Powerizer weapons, but this one's not too bad. You know, it really helps this figure in vehicle mode, because I think without it, this guy's going to look way too plain. Now, I've also seen where a lot of figures that, you know, when people are talking about this weapon pegging into the back where it's had problems, this one fits in pretty good. I mean, I can tip this upside down. Now, I can't sit there and shake it. Well, maybe I can. But it's pegged in there pretty good. So I don't really have any issues with the way that this fits in, and we'll look at that in more detail here in a few minutes. All in all, I think that the truck mode turned out very, very well. Now, if you take this off, and you can hear how solid that was when it came out, so it pegs in pretty good. When you take this off, well, then the figure's got problems. It's a walking truck. I mean, you know, it wants to... it's a walking truck. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, that's not too good. But with this thing pegged in, it's pretty decent. Now, I'm not a fan of accessories that are basically required. You know what I mean? Like something that comes off the robot that you have to put into it to incorporate into vehicle mode. I'm not usually a big fan of that. I guess I'm not a huge fan of that here. If something were to happen to this, or it broke or got lost, you know, this figure would seem incomplete in vehicle mode. So I throw that out there. That is what it is. So anyway, that's Ultra Magnus in his vehicle mode. Again, there's not really a whole lot else to say. Underneath, He's pretty kibbly. Yes, he is. There's a whole figure under here. So, you know, that sucks a little bit. But, you know, again, from just the general look of the vehicle mode, I think he looks pretty good. To get Ultra Magnus transformed is really pretty simple. Almost too simple. It's almost Commander class simple. But, you know, I guess in this day and age, simple's not a horrible thing. So the first thing you want to start doing is you want to come up into the front and you want to start to separate this section right here, okay? Now you've got a lot of things pegged in, so you just want to undo the pegs here and undo the pegs there. And you pretty much, you know, can start separating, you know, this whole arm section. Just kind of start to pull things out. And really, I mean, unfortunately, you're just about done. You want to pull down the legs at this point. You hear those nice ratchet joints. You want to separate these legs, fold down the toes. You want to bring these pieces. I do kind of like this bit. This is pegged into the bottom. You want to unpeg it and put this on the side just like that. At this point, you want to take it and basically wrap it around itself. Now, by the way, these deals right here, you want to push them inside. And then you want to wrap this thing around it, and it pegs in. So that wraps around his leg and makes his leg look pretty good. So we're going to do it again on the other side. We're going to lift this up, fold this thing around. I'm having lighting problems, and I've got some replacements coming, so sorry about the lighting quality in this video, guys, and gals, and animals, and whatever else is watching my videos. So, you know, there's that. At this point, we're just about ready to finish this guy up. You want to take this back cab section and just kind of pull it back. Okay? So after you get it pulled back, you can take his arms and basically pull them down just like that. And literally, we're so close to being done, and I feel like we haven't done anything yet. So that's kind of the downside of this figure, I suppose. Take the arms, or the hands, and unfold them. At this point, you want to wrap this section around. Just peg it in. You want to take these two pieces right here, fold them down, and you can take his arms and bend them up a bit, just like that. You want to go ahead and finish the back. You take this top little lip right here, push it flush up against it. You want to bring this thing back, and it's going to sit back here at an angle so that you can take these shoulder bits and actually lock them into place. And you'll know when you've gotten it right because it'll actually, it pegs in there pretty good. You can kind of see how it sits at an angle, so it's not supposed to be flat, it kind of curves inward like that. But it sits up there at an angle, and really, at this point, you stand him up and pose him up, and here's Ultra Magnus in his robot mode. Now, again, absurdly simple transformation. The transformation of a Cyberverse Commander figure, really, when it comes down to it. But the figure turns out into a fantastic robot mode. So I don't really have too much complaint about the ease of transformation when the payoff, to me, is so good. Looking at this guy up close, I mean, the head sculpt on this says Ultra Magnus. You know, I love the Transformers Prime interpretation of this figure. I love the silver bits here that come up to his neck, which kind of looks a bit like if you look at your Ratchet figure from the Prime toy line, he kind of has a similar deal. So I like the way that fits in. Nice Autobot symbol, a little bit of quality control issue there, a little bit of a scrape. I'll be fine, don't worry about me. I hate figure flaws. Right here you've got the painted silver and the painted red that kind of comes around, and if you notice, he has false doors here. So he has fake doors on his chest, but you know, that's fine. But man, if we had a first edition Magnus, I'll bet they would have figured out a way. So I really feel like Hasbro, it's almost like they cut some corners here with this figure to meet a price point, like they've done, I think, in several figures of the Prime line outside of first edition. There have been good figures. There have been figures in this line that I like quite a bit, but you'll find just a lot of fake pieces that keeps you from having to actually design something intricate and fascinating and interesting, and I'm getting depressed the more I talk about it. So let's move on. Other than that, you know, I've also seen a lot of stuff online about his loose shoulder joints. Now, don't get me wrong, it is loose, but not that loose. Now, when I put his weapon in his hand, it's gonna slouch down. And so, yeah, a little bit of nail polish is gonna go in here. If you've never done that, take a clear coat of nail polish, put it around the ball joint. There are two ways you can do it. You can let it dry first, and then pop it in, and you should be good to go. Or you can put some nail polish on the ball joint and just wiggle it around until it hardens up, and that works too. So whatever you prefer. But that'll take care of the loose joints on this figure quite well. Articulation, you know, his head is on a ball joint, so he can look up and down and kind of all around. It's limited by some of the junk here on each side, but you know, all in all, it's pretty good. Shoulders, as you can see clearly, on ball joints, but you know, it's a good thing because you've got plenty of clearance on the arms. I mean, you can put the arms straight up and not have to maneuver a bunch of stuff to make that happen. So I like the fact that these front pieces come down just like the Cyberverse figure, but it covers up a lot of that ball joint to give you the clearance. So looking at him straight on, I mean, I think it looks pretty good. So I don't really have any issue with that whatsoever. He's got a swivel here, and then he's got these kind of ratcheting joints right here on his forearm. He also has waist articulation, but because of the way that this back piece comes down, it limits that somewhat, so you can still get some poses out of this guy, but you're going to have to work on it a little bit. Onto his legs, you got the ball joint, you got the knee hinge, which, you know, it should be a ratchet joint. Listen on his right leg. Nice. On his left leg, no clicky noise. It clicks. I mean, you feel like the little ratchet is doing its thing, but there's no click, so I'm not super happy about that. Hopefully it's just a defect on my figure and yours will be just fine. You have some toe pivot for transformation. I find that if you open them up too far, then he gets this kind of weird foot thing going on to where his toes are sticking up. So after I transform him, I just like to kind of push these things down, and it gives it a much better look when he's sitting up there on your shelf, looking cool next to Optimus. Now for his weapon, you can take this piece right here, comes off, and this can sit right here, up on his shoulder, or you can put it right here on his forearm. You've got peg holes in both of these things. You can also put it on his back, and in vehicle mode, you could also have mounted this on the top, but it looks silly, so why even go there? On my figure, I kind of like to put it right here on his forearm, and it looks pretty good. You can see that, you know, the weight of that, it's not dropping the arm down. So I think that there could be some even worse quality control issues with these pegs from all the stuff I've seen on this guy. But my figure is pretty tight, so I'm in no hurry to rush to glue up the ball joints on this one. Now this weapon, very, very cool. I'm not, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, I'm not a big fan of the Powerizer weapons, but this one is neat because it actually locks into place. So you can see that he has these two little handles right here, and you can hold it. You could probably get a pose with both of his hands holding this weapon. You can peg it into his arm just like this, and have it be a very cool monster-sized, you know, rifle. Man, the weight is bringing that down. So yeah, I am going to glue these arms probably right after this review. You know, you could also put this on the side of his arm. You could put it on the back. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do with this, but you can also transform this into his hammer mode, like how that flips over there. But here's the awesome thing. Move open this tab, slot it into that hole right there. Just kind of slot that into place, and you have an awesome hammer. Now, crappy thing, that light stays on, so if you want to keep it in hammer mode, you either need to take the batteries out or just let the thing die on you, and it is what it is. But that thing looks freaking amazing. I mean, that's a weapon right there. So that's super cool. Like that a lot. Now you can also plug this thing into his back, and he has some translucent bits that go right through his body. You can see that he has a translucent part right here, and you literally get light all the way through into the chest. So if you happen to have this thing pegged onto his back, you'll get some light in there, some green light. You can see that. So all the way through, but think about how corny this looks with the thing sticking up. I mean, it's just silly. So, anyway, I prefer to keep that in hammer mode, and I think once I glue this guy's joints to hold it better, he'll probably hold it, and that'll be cool. There he is next to RID Optimus Prime. Pretty good size right there. I think Magnus is a bit taller, which doesn't make sense, so if that bothers you, then swap this guy out with First Edition Prime. And now you've got Prime a little bit taller than Magnus, and that's probably the way that I want it to be displayed, in my case. Yeah, that's a good scale. I like that quite a bit. And here he is standing next to the Pirate, which I'll review a bit later. Both these guys in the same wave, and I'm telling you, I'm very happy with this wave of Voyager figures. I mean, these two look great. So that's my review of Transformers Prime Voyager Class Ultra Magnus. Hope you like what you see. If you do, give it a thumbs up, rate, comment, subscribe by clicking the subscribe button up there, and you'll be notified every time I have a new review released. Sorry about the lighting. I'm in a temporary place. Our Christmas tree is in the spot where I normally do my reviews. So I'm in a separate part of the house. The lights in here are awful. My LED video light has been having some issues. So better lighting coming soon, I promise. Thanks for sticking in there with me. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again real soon.